Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are going to check out another brand new Recur figure, as I believe this is one of the newest additions to their line. This is the Huayangosaurus, and it is an absolutely awesome choice in the part of Recur to create because there are very few figures out there of this species, so it is nice to see one getting created by anyone, but definitely nice to see one getting created by Recur because you know you are going to get a really sizable version of that species, and that's exactly what we have here. And they have done a good job on the overall paint scheme. I really like the greenish tones with those yellow tones up there on like the spikes and plates and stuff. Very nice color scheme for the figure, looking really natural, but you know, having that yellowish coloration makes it a good bit flashier. And I think they've done a great job. What I can see here from the pose, it almost has like an alarmed type of a look, like maybe something has just wandered nearby that it's not exactly a big fan of getting too close. Like you can really see like almost tensing to the body in general, like it's really like held upright and looking kind of alarmed by whatever is nearby. So that's another really cool thing. Almost has fear in the face, especially when you look at the mouth, like the mouth being open like that, expressing some fear is definitely really cool on the part of this figure right here. So let's go ahead, jump straight to a closer look right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Huayangosaurus, you can see some really nice skin texture is present here on the head sculpt of the figure. You can also see the beak is painted with a nice glossy black coloration, as well as the nostrils are highlighted with that same black coloration right there so that they jump out at you. The inside of the mouth is painted with a pinkish coloration. It's open nice and wide for us to see in there. Again, obviously what I had said earlier, kind of expressing a look of fear on the face right there, and you can see the tongue is present, and everything does seem to have a really nice gloss coat included inside the mouth, so it has a bit of a wet look to it. You can see the eyes are painted with like an orangish reddish coloration. It almost reminds me exactly of the tone of color, like a red-orange crayon. I used to color with all the time when I was a child. That was always like my favorite color to color with, and it really looks like that exact tone of color right there. You can see that the lower jaw sports a whitish coloration, as we see a white that runs along the entire underside, kind of like an off-white actually, but you can see a nice darker tone of green running along the center of the head up here on the top of our Huayangosaurus. As you lead down into the neck, you can see that those darker tones of green continue, but transition really smoothly to a lighter tone of green here down on the side of the figure, and again to like this off-white, almost like bordering on a gray for the underside of the neck. You can see lots of really nice creasing and wrinkles and everything here in the neck. Beautiful creasing down the course of the neck in general. You can see like some hanging skin here in the throat of our Huayangosaurus. And you can see some of these plates picking up here on the top of the animal. Again, with that yellowish coloration starting to appear. And I like how they transition to a black tip. And that runs the course of the entire figure. Like you see that throughout the entire figure with that yellow coloration and then the black tips. It looks really nice. Furthering down into the body a little more, you can see some really nice skin texture. You also start to see some black spots and stuff popping up here and there throughout the figure. And you also see more of that up here on the top that runs along the spinal column, which you can see the spinal column in general running along the back of the dinosaur. But you can see some of those black spots picking up here and there. You can see that the front leg looks really quite nice. We have a very thick look to the leg. Beautiful skin texture running down the course of the leg. A little bit of muscle definition displayed, but not overly muscular. You can see the nails are painted with a glossy black, like we had seen on the beak. And then moving up here into the shoulder spike, you can see the shoulder spike itself actually looks really good as far as a detailing standpoint goes. Like you can see lots of cracks and crevices included in the shoulder spike. And again, very nice bright yellow as we transition out almost to like a darker yellow in certain spots. Like you can see a lighter yellow here, but a darker yellow over here. So there is some color variation as far as the tones of yellow in those areas, which I didn't pick up on right away until right now. And then you can see it again ends in a black tip just to highlight the tips of both the plates and the spikes on the figure. And you can see in general along the back of the dinosaur, the spikes and plates all sport a really nice, very highly detailed look, but all have that very same coloration to them with the yellow and then black tips. But again, I really do quite like that. You can see more of the black spots here running along the side of the dinosaur, kind of like some large osteoderms poking up here and there. Decent looking skin texture here in the stomach region. The dinosaur is in almost a neutral position. Again, it really gives me the feeling like this dinosaur was just feeding and then heard a noise and happened to spot something getting too close. So like it's really tensed up in the body. and almost has like a neutral position to the legs because of the fact that it was feeding and not like running or walking or anything like that. So you can see again that the difference between these legs and the opposing legs is not drastic, but you can see that the skin is kind of like stretching off of the body a little bit right here when it comes to the positioning of the legs, which is probably exactly what we'll see on the opposing side. Some decent looking musculature here in the thigh and calf region. Again, on the rear leg, you have the nails painted yet again with the same glossy black that we saw on both the front legs and the beak area. And you can also see that in general the leg sculpt looks really nice, especially from a skin texture standpoint. Like, it looks really, really good. And then we lead up here into the tail. You can see more creasing and everything as far as like the skin texture in here in the tail. You can kind of see the skin stretching off of the tail right there as we lead out the length of the tail here on our Huayangosaurus. You get out here to those thagomizers, and they're painted similarly to the plates and everything there on the back, where they have like some tones of yellow and then black, but they also have like some tones of green included back there as well. You can see the yellow here on the underside for sure. And then if we take a look at the opposing side, I feel like we're really not going to see too much difference on this side compared to the previous side, because the dinosaur isn't in any type of a drastic different position. You can see that the dinosaur does have its head turned to the left, as obviously whatever it is concerned with seems to be to the left side of the dinosaur, considering it's looking in that direction. But you don't see any type of a huge difference when it comes to like the texturing. Lots of creasing and everything, wrinkles here in the neck region, again some more hanging skin in the throat. And as we lead down into the body, again, you have that very nice large shoulder spike. I actually like right here, it almost looks like there was like an area of damage, not to the figure, but like to the dinosaur. Like, it almost feels like they kind of tried to sculpt out almost like a wound on the shoulder spike, which is really cool. Something that you would absolutely see on dinosaurs would be like scars and stuff like that, and most companies don't take advantage of that and apply that, so that's actually pretty neat if that were the intention with that area. Again, you can see those black spots and stuff all over the side of the dinosaur, those very large osteoderms, and some more of that really nice texturing to the skin here in the stomach. Both legs look great. Again, very similarly positioned to the opposing side. In fact, the front legs, I think, are exactly in the same position, but the back, this right leg is back just a little bit further in comparison to the left leg there. But you can see, again, the tail looks really nice. And in general, the dinosaur has a very nice, very highly detailed appearance in pretty much every area. So a beautiful looking Huayangosaurus with that really nice Recur style that we all know and love. If you are familiar with the Recur figures, they always have their own stylized versions, which is something that I've really grown a strong liking to. So that's exactly what I see here as far as the Huayangosaurus goes. And again, they're that soft, squishy feel, so you can actually move the figure, squish it and everything. So it's very flexible if that's something you are interested in. But also, again, a really good thing to see when it comes to something you won't damage or hurt anybody with. If it's something you're giving to your kids, odds are it's a pretty safe figure to give to them. But even with like these, spikes and everything, it's actually not hard. Like, they're all bendable, so it's a very safe figure for children. But also, if you're a collector like me, it's nice to have this style figure because it's not something that you can damage very easily if you drop it. But honestly, it's a really nice looking Huayangosaurus, and I'm psyched to see one enter the Recur line. Now, as far as our Huayangosaurus goes, it is without question the largest model I have of this figure, and that is not surprising being a Recur figure. But for a length on our Huayangosaurus, you are looking at actually just shy of about 13 inches or about 33 centimeters. And then for a height, the highest point would be the head. You are looking at also just shy of about 5 inches or about the 12.5 centimeter range. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon in comparison to our Recur Huayangosaurus, and you can definitely see, without question, that there is a very impressive size to this figure in comparison to the figures before us, especially next to Mr. Papo Rex right there, who is a pretty big figure. You can see that this Huayangosaurus would quite easily be able to defend itself against Mr. Papo Rex, and maybe that's who the Huayangosaurus is eyeing up over here with that look of fear. But don't be too scared, Huayangosaurus, because you look like you've got the goods to defend yourself, and Mr. Papo Rex doesn't really do too much. He just kind of stands around here and waits for comparisons all the time, so he's probably not in very good shape, so you should be okay. So this Recur Huayangosaurus is definitely a really nice one to see added to the line overall, and I love that Recur lately has been kind of reaching outside the box compared to what they usually make. and kind of going with some more obscure, lesser known species. Like we've got this Huayangosaurus. We recently reviewed the Monolophosaurus, and they also have like a ton of really cool aquatic species you don't see get made too often. And they've also made, which is kind of getting more popular lately, but the Therizinosaurus recently. But definitely a lot of really cool species that have been entering the Recur line over the last few years, and this is another really exciting one for me, which makes me even more excited for the future of Recur, wondering what other figures they will release into their line, species-wise. But this one again looks great, and I love the fact that they have a very nice, striking look to the pose with that obvious look of fear. Like, it really genuinely looks almost terrified about whatever is nearby, and that's obviously our best guess as far as what is exactly threatening this Huayangosaurus. But I really feel like that was exactly what they were going for, was to give this dinosaur that good look of fear on its face. And that's something that Recur does quite often, where they kind of create like really cool dramatic poses and add a lot of life into their models, where like the last one that I had reviewed was the Giganotosaurus. It had kind of like that look of anger and the stance of like it defending its positioning and its territory. This one has like a look of fear, so like it's really neat that Recur does that. On top of giving you a really cool dinosaur model or prehistoric model in general, they give you some life to your model, and that is nice to see. The sculpt is quite beautiful, very highly detailed, as you usually find from Recur. And again, not anything crazy with the positioning, as it's mostly standing in a neutral position. The detailing aspect is perfectly sculpted out for the position that the dinosaur figure is in. I also really quite like the paint scheme. I'm always a big fan of any type of a stegosaur dinosaur having a greenish coloration, and I think it looks great on this Huayangosaurus right here. I also love that yellow coloration up there on the plates and shoulder spikes and everything with the black tips. Very striking, but really natural looking at the same time. So overall, this is a really nice looking figure, and again, another really awesome release from Recur. So if you are interested in picking this up, I will include a link in the description to both the Recur website as well as the Recur Amazon store, so you can purchase yourself this or any other Recur figures today. So make sure you check the link in the description, go buy this fantastic Huayangosaurus, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.